Hi guys, this video is just going to show you how you can put some wall coverings and roof coverings on your models. It's something that you will need to have the Cadimage tools installed as the bolt-on to your Archicad software. If you do not see this pull-down menu, you do not have the Cadimage tools installed, and therefore we'll have to go to Google and download the little installer package. Assuming you do have them, let's go in to the project and show you how you can actually add the wall coverings and then add coverings to your roof. Okay, at the moment I've got a fairly simple building here. I'm just going to use it as my template training model. If we go 3D, we have, because we drew the walls, and under the wall model, I think if I select one of these and go to the settings, you'll see in the model we had this siding light vertical, so it does give a little bit of kind of texture or rendering onto the model. But the Cadimage tool actually puts on cladding which has got like a 3D quality, and it can add some real relief. So let's go back to the plan, and one of the very first things you should do is we're just going to put the wall coverings on the external walls. So don't go and say select all, because we do not want to put claddings on these internal walls. Yes, you could have some funky interior designer, but we're not going to do that today. So if I zoom right in, and you can see that these walls look fairly neatly connected. And if I go, if you can't see them like this, just do this true line weight. So if you zoom in and you see something like this and the lines look smudged, just right click anywhere on your digital paper without any element being selected and just do true line weight, and then we can see everything much better. You may well have the jib board shown inside, so we will just ignore that for now, because quite often we don't even need this. The next thing I want to show you is to right click again and say clean wall and beam intersections. And when you do that, you see these kind of heavy black lines appear. These are called reference lines, and it's to do with when you've got a wall, this kind of core, inside, outside, and that just tells you whether you want the reference line on the outside face, inside face, or in the center. But the big message about these reference lines is that for Archicad to tidy up the junction between two walls, you really want to make sure that the reference line on this wall is touching the reference line for this other one. So if I was to grab this wall, and I'll just change the reference line to the center, it should still work okay because this reference line is working, but I might just change it to the inside face. And you can see that Archicad is trying to keep it there. So I'll go clean wall and beam intersections again, but it's not going to be quite correct, and because this wall is in the wrong place now based on what we did. So I'm going to undo that and undo it to go back to the way we were, because having the reference line here and the wall above would mean my wall is 90 millimeters too big. So be careful when you go clean wall and beam intersections. Just make sure that the reference line for the external walls are on the outside, and that they're all touching, and that your walls are to the correct dimensions. Okay, so I'm going to now go clean wall and beam intersections, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift click. Now sometimes there's faster ways of doing this using a find and select command. I'm not going to do that just yet. The training manual shows you how to do that in a more quick manner. I am not going to do that. So I've actually selected a slab there by mistake, so I'm going to just try and deselect that. I'll go into the wall tool just to give priority to some of the walls. So I've got nearly all these external walls selected now. And once you've done that, just go up to Cadimage, down to coverings, go wall coverings. Now initially you've got quite a big dialog box in here, so I think I can just leave this floor plan section as home story only. But what we want to do is go into coverings, and you can just go to the covering here, and you can see that you can choose once it loads up. There should be a range of like weatherboards and corrugate, shiplap grooves. So you can play around with those if you like, because this whole exercise is just about actually applying them. So I'm just going to stick with the basic weatherboards. And you can leave most of these settings for now. There's a few ones that we will change later on when you're going to do things like the wall height, head height, and openings. But openings, we'll just leave the default ones because normally Archicad does a good job of detecting where the windows are. So if I click OK, and then as I go, you're getting this kind of offset thing. Don't click inside. Make sure the little eye is to the outside, and it does not matter how far away, because it's going to put it right close to the wall we've modeled already. So just click. And once you zoom in, you'll see that as well as the selected walls, we've got this, I'll just deselect, you've got this little even cavity and this new element that's been produced. So let's have a look at what that has done. 3D all. And if we go along, you say, well, I can't see anything, but actually, if you zoom right in, you can see the actual sawtooth arrangement and how the weatherboards are actually present on the walls, external walls of the building. And you can see how I can see the little kind of razor corrugate effect here. And you can see how Archicad has done a pretty good job of detecting the windows and putting the weatherboards in quite a realistic pattern. Okay, so that's helped. You know, the slab, you can put slab coverings on as well in a similar fashion, but we're not going to do that just yet. What I want to do now is actually go and put some coverings on this roof. So what I'll do is I'll go back into the floor plan. I will go up to the roof story, whether in the project map or the view map. And all you got to do is, in a similar fashion to the walls, just select the roof, go up to Cadimage, go to coverings, go to roof coverings, and you'll see a similar type of dialog box. And we could even put in edges, which have got hips, ridge, valleys, gutters. And that takes quite a lot of analysis to do that, which we're not going to do just at the moment. Home story only, we'll leave it like this for now. In some conditions, you might want to change that to one above. And you can make certain changes, roof, hip, gable, configuration, and you can even go down to flashings, display options. But for just learning the basic command, just leave it the way it is, and we'll just click OK. I think there's one here where we can look at the cladding, and you can then choose, do you like corrugate, ribbed, tiles? Well, you can use them for now if you like to see what it looks like, but the typical one we tend to use here is corrugate or ribbed. So I'll put in the ribbed one, click OK, and you'll see that Archicad has done a whole lot of hatching for you. Saved all those pencils that you used in 4043. And it has put on some bars and some flashings here. So let's again look at the 3D. And you can see that we've got a roof covering. That seems to be missing a flashing around here, but that will be something that you can adjust in the settings of the roof covering dialog box that I opened previously. This can take a little while. It might take a little bit of playing around with to track that down. So the video could get a little bit too long, and for the purposes of a review session, doing something like this will be okay, but have a play with it and look at the flashings, and you'll see that you may be able to detect where the relevant setting is. And I'll just go back. To choose that, you just shift click, hit up here. You might want to change the layer to design roof coverings. Click the settings. As I say, you can go to cladding, go to flashings, and there's barge flashings, there's hip and ridge flashings, there's apron flashings, and you just might be able to put them all the way around the roof.